Hey folks, man, this is Corey, and we're back with another Classics of Cinematics episode. And I'm joined as always with my co-host. We got Bobby Blockbuster in the building.
Yo.
Yeah, today we got an interesting one, man. We're going to be talking about David Cronenberg's Fly from first debuted in the U.S. in August 15th, 1986. And the plot is as follows. When a scientist, Seth Brundle, completes his teleportation device, he decides to test its abilities on himself. Unbeknownst to him, a housefly slips in during the process, leading to a meager merger of man and insect. Initially, Brundle appears to have undergone a successful teleportation, but the fly cells have been begun to take over his body. As he becomes increasingly fly-like, Brundle's girlfriend is horrified as a person she once loved deteriorates into a monster. Ooh. And yeah, man, this was a great film. What's interesting, this is one that I actually saw in the theater. So I just want to point out that I was 8 years old in 1986, and my mom gave no F's about the kind of content we were going to see as a family.
I know that's right. My mom shared the same thought pattern.
Yeah, and I know for sure. I'm pretty sure this played in across the street from us, because I used to live in Belford Towers on what was that, New Hampshire Avenue, and right across the street was a movie theater, and that's where we saw it. I remember my cousin being in there, and I remember him being really loud. William Jones, if you listening to this, I remember this like yesterday. It was crazy because he was talking to the screen like the one part where toward the end where he throws up on my man's arm. I swear to God, this got the biggest laugh though. My cousin was like, "Suck it up." Yo, it was crazy. It was a crazy moment, man. We had a blast, man. But yeah, great film, man. So let's talk about this cast first of all. We got starring Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis, and they were both pretty early in their career. You know, they were probably prime up in the early 90s, and of course Goldblum, you know, hitting us with the later on Independence Day and the
Jurassic Park.
But also David Cronenberg pops up in this. He plays a role as a gynecologist. We'll get into that later. We also got John Getz, David Hidison, Joy Bushell, and I think that's pretty much it for the main cast. I mean, this is a really small cast film. Most of the film takes place in Brundle's lab, and you know, his place. You know, it says Vincent Price for some reason too. I can't remember where he pops up in. Maybe he had a voiceover or something. But yeah, man, what are your thoughts, man?
I mean, first and foremost, you know, this is one of my favorite films
Me too.
in history of my film watching, and you know, for various reasons, but one that sticks out to me, you know, in such a way, and I've said this before when we talk about it, is the way it runs parallel with the Beauty and the Beast story. You know what I mean?
A little bit. It,
like, to me, I mean, it covers all those elements. Like you get the romance, the love story, you get, you know, the shock value, slightly horror, you know, your scare element, and then you get that other guy, the jealous, you know, person who's kind of chasing after, you know, the female. So and with that, you know, I think it makes for a good story, you know, all in all as a whole, because it covers so many bases when it's done properly, and this film was done properly in many ways.
A lot of ways. It's like a kind of a hybrid of a lot of films, and it does like all the parts it takes from the other films. They're done pretty well. And we're going to get in the spoiler territory, so if you don't want to hear anything, go watch it first. But we're talking about the spoiler, and I'll even start with just the way this movie unfolds, because she's kind of an investigative reporter, and she gets sent out to this story to cover this. I guess it's like a science. I don't know. It's like a
science convention or something.
And she meets Seth Brundle, played by Goldblum, Gina Davis's character, and basically, you know, he's kind of in there, but on the low in a way. And she gets to talking to him. I guess, you know, he finds her attractive, and he strikes up the conversation, and it seems like there's been this buzz about him, whatever the experiments that he's working on. and he basically like, yo, do you want to see it? And she's a reporter. She was looking for the scoop. And now, like, some of the things that happen in this are so funny to me because like, it's like, yo, come to my lab. And I'm like, damn, yo, these days that's not gonna go for too.
I mean, it
you
really
want me in your lab by yourself.
It hits like a pickup line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can show you better than I can tell you. You know?
yeah. And he's so awkward. He's definitely not.
Yes.
You could tell the charm though, just the kookiness of him that people might find attractive, but he's not traditionally like the smooth talk. He's so awkward that it's kind of cute. You know what I'm saying? In a way, and I can see how she's gonna, let her guard down, and plus, like I said, she's trying to get the scoop. So goes to the apartment and she shows him the experimental thing, and you find out he's been trying to work on this teleportation thing, and it's done pretty well. Like this film has a really baby budget, dude. Like for what they accomplished, but he shows her the teleportation tubes that he's put together, and in the experiment. And actually, I think he does. He teleports her, one of her like pantyhose, her stocking, which is also crazy. Who's going to remove their stocking for a string?
Yeah, because I mean, he tells her, he's like, I need something that's has your that's close to you, that has like kind of like your scent, your DNA on it, kind of in a sense. Yeah. Which honestly, I think that was
all game.
That was game. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Because he could have took her pen.
Because I mean, later in the movie, he teleports a steak. So it's like, dog, you could teleport anything you want.
He could have got an ink pen, but there's that weird game that comes because it's like he's so awkward. You wouldn't expect that from him, but clearly he likes her, and and there's this flirtation going on, and she falls for him. But it's crazy. So and ultimately he's trying to use this device to teleport people, but there's an issue with it. For some reason, anything that's not inanimate, like a pen or a piece of paper, the thing struggles with it. Hasn't like they show the monkey scene, which was like this is a Cronenberg film, and Cronenberg, like at the time I'm a little kid, so I didn't know anything about his filmography, but he's known for this body horror type stuff. And the first thing we see is he tries to send the monkey through, and the monkey goes through, but when he opens the chamber, the monkey's teleported, but it's teleported inside out.
Yeah,
that was a real shock.
Yeah,
like I remember in the theater, I'm like,
oh my one of them gosh, moments,
yes, because it kind of jumped. It's like,
it's
like a jump scare, and it throws you out because this film is kind of presented in there's a sense of wonder in the beginning, but then what I like about this is how Cronenberg creeps the horror. It creeps up as the film goes along,
and not for nothing, it takes you like the scenic route. Like he's not in a rush to get to it. Like like you said, the special effects are what make this film stand out the way that it does. I mean, and as you gradually go through the course of the film, and like you see this progression, like in the special effects that they're using, and how they're like fine-tuning it in such a way. I mean, once it gets to the point where things don't work when he teleports the monkey, he starts to work on the machine again. And side note, I always laugh now when I see how they envisioned computers to be back in the day. I mean, they're big boxes with glowing lights. I mean,
like there's no windows. like even now when I'm looking at on my screen, there's so much more advanced than that. So it's always fun when you see those older films. Like even a film like, let's just say Alien, that takes place hundreds of years into the future, and you look at what the screen was looking like, and I'm like, yo, this is looking like DOS. It looks like the bare minimum. But so that's a good point, because he does take the scenic route, and it's crazy because this film is only 96 minutes long.
Yes,
and he takes the scenic route, but he doesn't waste any frame, but the film seems a bit longer than that. Maybe it's the tone and the pacing that he uses to but there's still a lot crammed in. And you said the special effects are great, but I would also say the dramatic moments are great. Like the acting is great. All those scenes is well directed. Like those scenes where it's not like per se action going on, those are still interesting because it's well acted and well performed. And I really like Goldblum here because he transforms. He's that kooky weird guy, but then he kind of gets a little menacing as we get closer toward the end. After the transformation, you see that it's done something to him. You know what I'm saying?
He goes from confident to confused to like embracing it. Like once he really knows what's going on and has a firm grasp on it.
well, he was kind of confident with the experimentation, but then after that, he goes to the portal, it ramps up even higher. Like he like, becomes like
like the first night after he teleports, and my man wakes up after Gina Davis comes back in there and starts doing all the gymnastics and shit. It's like he's not doing that to show off. He's just seeing how far he can go and how much he can push himself. You know what I mean?
Clearly, his DNA has fused with the Fly. They are essentially the machine broke them apart in the first two, transported them and reassembled them together in the next two.
Fused them, you know. Yeah, man.
So he's slowly becoming a Fly. You see the first thing, like the hairs up here on his back. Like there's the transformation is so great. It's just gradual things, but it does affect his personality.
Absolutely.
I think he does freak. I mean, I keep saying Gina Davis, but what was her on-screen
Her name was Veronica. I'm sorry. What is it? Veronica.
Yeah, okay, Veronica. So Veronica rolls out. She's like, "Yo, you becoming a dick?" Because he does offer to say, "Yeah, why don't we go through together?" Like, yo, but you just fused with a Fly. Why do I want to fuse with you? And I guess his warped ideas that they'll become together and become the perfect being. But I'm like, I don't know how that's gonna work. Who's gonna run the body? Are y'all both gonna be in there, or is it just gonna merge into one essence? Yeah, it's crazy, man. But he's working with that. He ends up figuring that out, how to actually transport the flesh, you know, which leads to that, you know, that first experiment where he fused with a Fly, because then later on he does it a couple other times with different items and he's figured it out. Yeah.
And you know, one thing that really, you know, always stands out to me, I mean, for starters, special effects wise, the film still holds up. But what
just now
earlier, I did too. And you know, one thing that I still appreciate more than anything else is the shock value. You get so much shock value out of this film, because it's like every time they once the teleportation happens, whenever they take a shot away from Goldblum and then he comes back, he always looks different.
Like when he starts
evolving and transforming more and more. And you know,
because at first he looks like he's got the super soldier serum. But then you like after the thing with the hairs, you just start seeing his body start to deteriorate. And like, what the fuck is going on?
And it's so gradual. Like at first, like you see that he gets that urge to want to eat sugary things. Like he has a fucking cup of coffee that's maybe what is it, like an espresso, and there's more sugar in it than coffee. But then you see he's always eating candy, and then so you start to see it in his face, you know, like, you know, as if somebody who just eats sugar, it would start to, you know, mess with your face a little bit, be it acne or whatever the case may be.
He's going though,
and then I mean, not for nothing, one of my favorite scenes, still grosses me out to this day. I was screaming this morning. Is when he flicks his fingernail off.
Oh yeah,
that shit is just it's so gross, and it's like squirts that shit in the mirror. Oh man, it's
because it's interesting because he didn't figure it out right away, but he comes to realize like it seems like he's dying. He's like, do I have cancer? I don't know. But then you realize that since they've combined DNA, what's happening? He's becoming pretty much a man-sized Fly, literally. So all the decay and rot that we see on him, basically those are the parts of him that he will no longer lead, that are sloughing off. It's almost like a cocoon phase, like a metamorphosis, man. And it's just really great special effects work. I'm not sure who the guy is that does the effects here, but that, man, that stuff stands up, and that's kind of been indicative of a lot of Cronenberg's work, man. There's this great film called Existenz that looks a lot like this. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Jennifer Jason Leigh, I forgot who else is in it, but it deals with I think not McGregor, what's the guy's name, the talented Mr. Ripley. Who was the guy that was Gwyneth Paltrow's boyfriend or husband? But he's in it anyway. But it deals with virtual reality worlds, but the gore in some of those scenes, it seems like it's the same kind of the guy that was working on this film, man. It has a certain look to it, man. You know, a lot of that work, but it works, man. Like you said, those scenes are great, and also like it's one of those films. Like when I first saw it as a kid, it definitely grossed me out. I probably covered my eyes most of the time, and there was a scene that happened in this film that I realized when I saw it again as an adult that I didn't have to cover my eyes for, and it was the scene where after a while, when Gina, he convinced 4 weeks go by, and he's after they kind of split, and he calls her up like, "Yo, I gotta see you." She comes to see him, and he finally reveals his messed up self to her, and then.
This is when he's on like the crutches, like he can barely walk at this point.
In a way,
he's got like the arm braces going on. Yeah,
because the arms are getting less effective. But what's interesting is, she's been recording his efforts to get this teleportation to work the whole time. So they kind of pick up where they left off. And at this time, she's recording his transformation into the fly. And there's that scene where he's demonstrating how he eats. And I remember being a kid in the theater, I totally covered my eyes.
Yeah.
And now as an adult, I realized that I didn't have to. It's just they cut away yourself, and all we see is Gina Davis's boyfriend's reaction. And who was an interesting character in his own right, man. Because apparently they worked together, but then they had a relationship at work, and he was the one that actually gave her the tip to go check out this Brundle fly I guess exhibition thing or whatever, but at the same time they're kind of estranged, and you get the sense that he's kind of been stalking her in an attempt to get back with her. And they've got a strained relationship, but they still have a working relationship. So he's watching the footage of her filming him eating as a fly. So they totally cut away, and as a kid, it just, even the sounds of it, like even now when you don't see anything, they cut away and you're just watching his reaction to watching the film. And it's just like one of those moments that plays really well. And then when you finally get to see him actually do it, it's just like, it's just nasty still. It's just like, whoa.
And not for nothing, something else that always kind of sticks out to me is like the love she has for him. Every time she sees him after the transformation, he looks worse than before. And she still doesn't seem to like love him less. Like, the one time when she comes by and she sees him, he's all fucked up, and she still embraces him in a hug. And as she's pulling away, his ear falls off.
Yeah, that was gross, man.
You know what I'm saying? And she's just like, fuck it.
I don't know. Like, it's definitely was concern. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if she would have stayed with him, but she definitely cared about him from there. Yeah. Like she fell for the dude. So it's
and like you said, once he embraces it, like after they give us that glimpse of how he has to eat, when he talks about how his teeth are, they're turning almost obsolete because he can't digest the food. That throw up scene when he throws up on my man, like,
just watched it earlier.
Yeah, and his arm shows up, and then to make it even worse, my man throws up on his ankle and rips his foot off.
The ankle one I think worked way better. Like the arm one is kind of weird because they got to cut away and then come back, cut away, so it wasn't like a full meltdown. I think there's a way they could have pulled that off if they probably did the old candle wax thing,
right?
Like Indiana Jones, or the Evil Dead.
That
probably would have looked better, but they were cutting away at different stages of it. But the leg one looked great because you see the leg like disintegrate and like his ankle.
As nasty as it looked, what made it even more creepy is you see this look on Brundle's face, like he almost looks happy, like he's intrigued as he's ripping his foot off. He's like, but
he's fly. That's what I do. That's how I eat. That was so understandable, but he was about to just so casually just basically he's got to throw up liquid, and the liquid dissolves whatever he's trying to eat, and then he sucks it up. So it's nasty. And he's about to like throw up on this guy's face, and she's like, "No, stop."
And
because at this point, so long story short, too, another factor that plays, she's pregnant. She got pregnant by the baby, and he's telling her, don't abort. She goes to the abortion office and shit. She's like, no, I don't want this in me. So the last thing when she sees Brundle again, and she said she's going to get rid of the kid, and that's, I think, when the flip switches, and he tries to abduct her and go into the chamber with all three of them, the unborn baby, her and him, and his thinking is on the other end they'll come out as this perfect gelled being. But then that's when the my man, the ex-boyfriend, shows up. You know what I'm saying? I guess what's his name? Status?
His name's Status.
Yeah, Status. He shows up and interrupts that plan, and unfortunately, that's when he loses his arm and his leg is all jacked up. Like
and still wielding the shotgun with no foot and one arm.
He got it.
Also a testament to the special effects, but I like the cinematography as well. Like there are camera angles and camera effects that just make this film work so well. Like when she comes into the house and he's like crawling across the ceiling, when he goes like almost full blown fly, and when like he's just he's almost, it's not that he's enjoying it, he just embraced it, and
Yeah.
he's just crawling across the ceiling and shit. I mean, it looks so realistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he does. I think Goldblum did a really good job here. That the scent and the madness, element that we get from his character. Like even then, like the last thing he's saying to her is like, "I'm not a man. I'm a fly that was in a man's body," or something like. So even his brain is definitely being corrupted by this this thing at this point. Even earlier, like there's a point where he after she leaves him, he goes out on the town. This is one of my favorite scenes too, when he's in the bar and this tough guy messes with him, so they challenge him to an arm wrestling match.
Yeah.
And that's
snaps,
so nasty,
snaps
dude.
it.
I just saw it earlier.
It still looks good.
Arm wrestling, snaps his guy's arm. Dude has a compound fracture, and then he rolls out with the chick. That's his prize. And then he tries to convince that woman to go through the teleportation thing with him, and gets interrupted by Veronica.
Veronica, because it was the night before he was trying to convince her to do it, and this is before like he was really going through all the effects of the transformation as well. Like he was still almost, still human-like in a sense, but man, that arm wrestling scene. I was so young when I saw that, it made me second guess ever thinking about arm wrestling anyone.
That was crazy.
I was like, man, that shit can happen. Man.
I think it can. Dude.
I think it can.
Don't drink their milk.
Yeah, man.
but see, those funny, like it has so many good moments like that. Like it's almost a fun gross factor. You know what I'm saying? I feel like some films, definitely do it just for the like. I think this one gets away with it because it works within the elements of the story, and plus us seeing that thing. But those moments are still, even today, I'm watching like when he's squeezing the finger and it's like,
it still holds
it's just
up.
So gross. Or the one thing later when he's really brundled out, and the computer's like, I don't recognize your voice.
Yeah.
He's chewing on his pen, and then the tooth comes out. You just like, it's the fun kind of squeamish shit. Like if you're in a theater, like if this was playing, and everyone would just be like, just having that mutual gross out moment, which makes this thing fun, man.
It does. And what also helps keep with all the grossness, what helps keep the watchability of it is this emotional compass that they keep throughout. Even as Brundle's transforming, like right before he goes full on Brundlefly, the last time he sees Gina Davis before he abducts her, like he's telling her, he's like, look, I'm a fly. He was like, she's like, no, I want to be with you. I want to, be here for you kind of thing. He was like, I will hurt you if you stay. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you see the pain in his eyes and everything. She's hurting. He's hurting, but he's like, yo, if you stay, I'm gonna throw up on you and I'm gonna eat you.
Yeah, because the speech, even in part of that speech is like, insects, they don't have no, like, what, I forgot what the fuck
he talks about,
exactly.
like the, it's almost like the politics of an insect or something. He even jokes about being the mayor of, a new mayor of the insects and shit.
Yeah, it's just like, basically you're seeing his snap from the human side of him. It's just going, like I feel like, had he survived this film, this creature would have just be out there doing bug shit. Like the human would have faded away eventually.
Well, because once he hits full transformation, there's really no human left in him. He looks like it's like big ass weird fly.
It reminds me of when
with no wings.
The comic books back in the day when Wolverine would go savage every now and then and just be just like whatever he went through in those previous issues. That like he had to tap into that animal instinct, the base level to survive, and he'll stay like that for months, maybe even a year, just running through the woods buck naked, like killing animals,
right,
eating,
straight
like,
savage
meat, and then eventually Xavier finds him. Come on home, Logan, and do this, but that's why I'd imagine where this would have went. He would have just snapped completely away from his humanity and just been this huge ass fly running around, man.
Yeah, and not for nothing, the way that the film comes to an end is just, it's so beautiful cinematically. Like, they got the music. I love the score. I think that score that they play, it's just, it goes
music by a guy named Howard Shore. He did the score for this film.
And it starts off, it's so creepy and intense, but then almost gets like magical and majestic in a sense. And then, I mean, the way that he just intertwined that was just, it was awesome. And like I said, I mean, once he fully brundles out, like you see that he's still trying to hold on to his humanity. Cause like after he goes through the pod and, you know, he's all fucked up cause my man was able to one-arm shotgun, you know, the one pod and fuck him up. He comes out and, you know, he's looking at Gina Davis with his big bug eyes and shit. And he takes the gun and like puts it at his, like, she don't want to kill him. She can't. She cares too much.
But he knows,
And
like,
he
like
just-
that's
he
like
puts it to his head. I mean,
that shit out of me because if you don't, if I still like, I'm
And I mean,
done. Like I can't come back.
it was like his last effort of holding on to his humanity. Because even in his big ass brundle fly bug eyes, like they're still glossy. Like you see, like he's feeling that shit, and he wants to die. He don't want to live that way.
I think the thing that kills it because I feel like there's a point where he possibly could have reversed this, but I think him melding with the fly just warped his brain so much because I figured, like, I mean, maybe it would have took some time to figure it out, but if that machine can teleport two things and fuse them together, why can't it teleport these two things and take them apart,
right?
You know, and have him and then the fly separate. But after that, his brain is so warped that he's not even thinking about that as an option, you know.
Exactly. It's almost like he accepted it. And I mean, his transition was happening at kind of a rapid rate. You know what I mean?
It was too fast for him to figure out how to do it, because I think that's what he was ultimately when he was still in that fly mode, trying to figure out, you know, how to do it. And then he just had to settle on, well, you could do this if you all go in together, you know, then, you know,
right.
But who knows what that would have done? It definitely would have been another being, but who knows what state of being that would have been.
Right. I mean, because before he suggested that, when he when he kidnapped her out of the abortion clinic, like he's looking at her like, you can't kill the baby. That's the last piece of me left. You know what I'm saying? Like he's full on just embraced the fact that he's going to transform, and he will no longer be Seth Brundle. You know what I mean? Like he even recreated the name for himself. He's like, I'm a Brundle fly now. I'm something new. You know,
I'm both. I'm a hybrid. But yeah, it's a great film, man. I mean, it did spawn a couple sequels. You know, it was wild. I saw part 2. It was a few years ago. I think it was on one of these streaming services, and it's definitely not as good as this, but there are some good elements to it, man. Like that surprised me, because this one is starring well, apparently she didn't get the abortion because he has a son. Played by Eric Stoltz, and I think Stoltz somehow, like, once he hits like maturity,
it's like
puberty
and
17,
shit.
18, he starts manifesting some of the traits, and that film is totally different because apparently my man Stathis is still around. You know, he's all still messed up. He's got the cane and stuff, but they've got him in this crazy research facility, and they've been running their own experiments as well. Like I remember this one part, they got this crazy dog creature. Dude, like it's so messed up looking. But there was this one scene that hit me so hard. There's a scene where Stoltz goes down to where they kept this dog that was messed up. They still kept him alive for some messed up reason. They could have euthanized him, but they got him in here, and he goes down there and feeds the dog and pets it. The dog looks so jacked up. Just imagine that monkey inside out, but it lived, and you just like, and it's crazy because like there's a wild moment like that hit me hard. I didn't even expect this because I saw it in the theater, but years later, seeing it now, I was like, yo, this was kind of a dope moment for this film. Like that kind of elevated it a bit higher than most sequels, you know what I'm saying, dealing with this kind of material. And Stoltz was actually pretty good as his Colt. I mean, he's a great actor, but this is him in the early beginning, you know. Just getting
absolutely.
his feet wet. But that film is a bit different. It seems more action orientated and more of a traditional monster film,
right?
Whereas I feel like this the 86 fly was more of like a thriller, sci-fi, more almost a psychological thriller in a way. If you take away this bug, because like I said, the dramatic stuff is definitely what anchors this film, man. You know, the gore and the sci-fi stuff is a bonus, but they first of all did a good job just giving you a dramatic film, you know.
Absolutely. And you know, it's also a first class seat in showing us as viewers that remakes can be done and separate themselves from the original while still paying homage. I mean, because you know, I didn't know my first few times viewing that this was actually a remake of the original Fly.
What's the original from the 50s?
It was it actually dropped July 16th, 1958.
Yeah.
And that was a monumental film in its own right, you know
for
what
different
I mean?
reasons.
For very different
reasons. I gotta
reasons.
watch that. Have you seen it?
Absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely. Yeah, it's really cool. And I mean, it's a similar approach, but it's done differently, you know, due to the you know, the time that it was released and everything. But it is really cool to see how this remake was able to pay homage and separate itself at the same time. And they're both like standalone films, you know, in their own right. And I think that's amazing as well.
Yeah, let me pause this. Yeah. All right, so you keep on. But yeah, I don't know, bro. Like, we probably wrap this up or bring it home. I ain't really got much more to say.
We pretty much covered all our bases. I mean, anyone who hasn't seen this film at this point, please go out and watch it. I mean, like I said, it still holds up to this day. It'll hold up 20 years from now and 20 years after that, because the acting is great. The effects are great. The story is great. And like I said, it's a fast watch, you know what I mean? So I would implore anyone who's anyone. And if you have seen it, watch it again, because it's worth it, you know?
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely go check it out, man. Watch it ASAP. Like I said, I just watched it this morning and it was just as good. Like, it's always good. Every time I see it, man, I pick up more stuff and just I feel like great films, they keep giving to you, you know what I'm saying? You go back and rewatch them and you just pick up on so much stuff and that you didn't notice before. But yeah, this one was a great one, man. This is one of the greats, dude. Definitely.
And to your point, like I said, even though we know these monumental scenes, these scenes are embedded in our brain, but seeing it again, every time you watch it, it still hits like it did the first time. It's like, man, this is an amazing film. I said I have nothing negative to say about it. Never will.
Yeah. All right, folks, man. Gonna catch you guys next time, man. You know, it's been another episode of Classics of Cinematics. But yeah, you catch me at Monkey Blood on Twitter, Instagram. Follow the podcast at From Canopy on Twitter and at From the Canopy on Instagram, you know.
And this is Bobby Blockbuster. You can catch me at Bobby Blockbuster 118 on Instagram. And I suggest all y'all try and stay fly.
All right, folks. Peace. We'll be back. Bad jokes and all.
Bad jokes and all. That's it.